Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Tech Talk Tuesday. Although today we can call it Low Tech and No Tech Tuesday. Before we start, we only have one announcement to make, and that is an event we are holding this Saturday at the Friendship Heights Village Center. Dr. Arthur Schwartz, who is a well-renowned glaucoma doctor, will be presenting a lecture on the latest in glaucoma research and what's going on in glaucoma world. And that is at 11 o'clock to 12 o'clock. This will be followed by free screening for glaucoma. If you want to join, an email will be out or maybe it's out now at 1 o'clock that will give you the phone number to call to register. And I encourage you to do that. It's an in-person event, and I don't think it will be recorded. And the weather is not bad on Saturday, so I hope you can join. And now back to our Tech Talk. I'm very pleased to be joined by my colleague, Sandy Nuzel, who is an expert on ways to find like low tech, no tech. When something comes out, she gets it and she tries it out. That's why we can start. Sandy, shall we start with magnification and tell us what you do? And by the way, we both have low vision. So it's just finding ways to survive. Right. And after each topic, I'll ask everyone if they have other choices or other options that they would like to share with the group. Sandy?
Thank you, Tara. Oh gosh, I thought I had my screen set so that I would show up and I could see myself.
We can see you.
Yeah, but I can't see me. So I'm going to go back to gallery view. Okay, so wow, this is weird. Okay, so you can hear me too, right?
Yes.
Okay, so like Tara said, I have low vision. I'm actually legally blind, have been my whole life. And that's why sometimes I forget that the way I do things is maybe a little different than the way people with normal vision would do it. So, you know, many, many years of trying to figure out ways to help me. I'm extremely nearsighted. I have a full field of vision, but the detail is not very good. And I have very low contrast sensitivity. So colors often don't show up very well for me, especially light shades of colors. So that is behind why I'm always trying to see things better for myself. Now, my vision may be very different from yours. I know it's different from Tara's. Everybody has their own individual vision issues and therefore their own individual vision solutions. But like Tara said, magnification. Magnification is like one of the best first go-to ways to see more information, to see more detail. And it's not entirely low tech, but since so many of us now have smartphones and we have smartphones with us almost all the time, I will say that I use my smartphone for magnification frequently. It's just two clicks. So first I have to open my camera, click, take a picture. Then it's a little clunky. I'm sure there's a preview, but what I do is then go to my gallery of pictures, and it's my most recent picture, and I can finger pinch or unpinch, as the case may be, to zoom in to see closer. Now, I use that at the grocery store when I'm trying to read the price and what kind of apples are in each bin, to read the overhead sign, what's in the aisle here, if I'm new to that store or if they've decided to rearrange it like they do from time to time. I use it when I'm trying to read the instructions on a box or package of something I'm cooking. Yeah, it may take 2 photographs before I get it so that I can see it, but it's a really quick solution. I also use it when I'm by myself, out and about, to read street signs or bus stop numbers, because those are above my head. Those are sort of 8-10 feet in the air. Yes, it's a little fiddly. It's harder to do in bright daylight, but your phone, camera, picture, zoom in is a really quick magnification. So anybody else have any thoughts?
Of course, the handheld magnifiers are always another option if they help us. And for some of us, they're not that helpful. Okay. Sandy, I know that you're, okay, somebody, Dorothy?
I use a magnifying app on the cell phone. There is an app for magnify on the cell phone
Yeah, there are many apps that
Yeah.
will magnify.
on my smartphone. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's an
Exactly.
option too.
Sandy, I know you cook sometimes. Sometimes, I don't say always. So maybe you can tell us some of your solutions for cooking and food preparation?
I need a pencil.
Sure. So,
My bag.
so first and foremost, when you're having a hard time seeing, when you're trying to see things, objects, food, utensils in the kitchen, I can't stress enough that you need the right light. So a task light in the kitchen can be very helpful, whether it's something you put a light on the bottom of the cabinets if you're cooking on the counter below the cabinets, or if you're cooking on or preparing food on a table or an island in your kitchen, a task light. Okay, I'm going to try to show you. So something, like this is a light that you might see in a restaurant. You can pick it up, move it around very easily. It has a yellowish color and a bluish color. This doesn't have various brightnesses, but it does have various colors of light. And sometimes the color of the light can help make it easier to see. So let's start with, you got to have the right light in your kitchen. Even if you have overhead lights, don't be embarrassed. An additional light might be helpful. Some of my friends, hang on, I'm trying to pick up things that are stuck in the box. A light you hang around your neck. And then this light has 3 levels of brightness and 3 different colors. So I'm hanging it around my neck and I can point it at what I'm trying to see. This can be very handy. It's just another size and shape and option of a task, T-A-S-K light. You can use these anywhere in your home, anytime. And I love the fact that they almost all nowadays have rechargeable batteries. So you're not going through 100 batteries a year. So that's the first thing. I want to be able to see what I'm doing. The second thing is when I'm preparing stuff, like if I'm chopping nuts or something, they might go flying all over the place after I chop them on a cutting board. So, you might want to have a tray on your counter so that you can either assemble all the ingredients and utensils in trays or doing your food preparation on a cutting board in a tray, just to contain things so they don't roll away and sort of go off the counter on the floor. For me, in my pantry, I'm sort of jumping around from idea to idea, but in my pantry, the boxes and bags of food, so much food comes in plastic bags these days. Some of them are resealable, have a little zipper on them. I find those very fiddly and difficult to deal with. So hang on. Well, maybe it's going to be awkward. I'll just describe it. I will take the food out of those plastic bags and put it in a plastic container or a jar and then label it. So for instance, here's a plastic container where I've put my grape nuts. I cut the label off of the grape nuts package and just tape it on this box. There's less visual noise, as I call it. It's just simpler to find this object in my pantry. And of course, I put it on the same shelf every time because organization always helps. But when I'm trying to put things into containers, I use funnels. Hang on. Who would have thought funnels could be so helpful? So for things like cranberries and nuts and rice, if I'm putting it in a jar that has a wide mouth, but the package I'm pouring from is sort of an awkward shape, I use this funnel, which is a canning funnel for pouring, when you're canning fruits or vegetables, it helps you pour into a jar with a wide mouth. So this funnel has a very wide mouth. When I'm pouring liquids between things, I will use this funnel, which I actually bought at an auto supply store, because I think it's designed for pouring oil into your engine. So the spout, the opening on it is big around as my finger. And the top of it is very large. And of course, normal size funnel that most people think of. But the Blind Kitchen sells teeny tiny little funnels. Like if you're pouring something very valuable, this funnel, is it in the picture, is like
Yes.
2 inches across at the top, and the spout at the bottom is, I don't know, maybe 1/4 of an inch across. So if you're trying to pour something that's expensive, like vanilla, which is getting more expensive all the time, you might want to use something like that. Measuring cups in the kitchen, it is possible to, I must have about 13 sets of measuring cups by now, and they all have their pluses and minuses. But the labels on the measuring cups can be really hard to see sometimes. Those measuring cups end up just being scoops that I leave in the containers with my food, just to help scoop things out. Like I have a 1/2 cup scoop in my big plastic bin of rice. But there's measuring cups that the Blind Kitchen sells that have bumps on the handle. 4 bumps if it's 1/4 of a cup, 3 bumps if it's 1/3 of a cup, 2 bumps if it's 1/2 a cup, and 1 bump for just the 1 cup measure. So they're measuring cups that have very good contrast color, 1, 1/2, 1/3, 1/4 numbers on the handles, but those are often a little bit too small for me to see easily. So, shop around until you find something that really works for you. Other things in the kitchen, and this is more like safety issues. And again, the Blind Kitchen sells these. They have a really good source of things to help people who are blind and low vision. Glove for a hot pad. It's got little sticky bumps on it. And so believe me, the dish does not slide out of your hand. And the whole glove is very flexible. And the whole glove protects you from the heat. They're called OVE gloves. And you can just look them up on Amazon. The Blind Kitchen is the only place that sells OVE gloves. And then there's gloves that can protect your hand from a knife. They've got whatever, it's like bulletproof vests have in them so that you cannot cut your finger. My husband's even borrowed those for when he's doing little tasks with a sharp razor blade or a tiny drill to be sure that he doesn't cut his finger. What else? Oh, another thing in the kitchen, I was talking about color and contrast is so important to me. Let's say you're pouring liquid into a glass or a cup or a bowl. And so you have let's say, soup that's a dark color. If you put it in a bowl that's the same dark color, it might be hard to see when the soup bowl is full. So I have some white soup bowls. I have some very pretty orangey brown soup bowls that a friend made and gave to me. Depends on what color my soup is, which bowls I'll use. When I'm drinking coffee, I have a new favorite mug that's white on the inside. And I put when I pour my coffee in, I can see it's getting fuller. And then I add my cream. And I can see the cream going into the dark coffee. Now, I have friends who like to start, if they have a dark cup, they just start with the milk that they're going to put in their coffee. They pour the milk in the cup, and then they add the coffee to it, and they feel like there's enough contrast there. Think about which would work better for you. But, a contrasting color can make it easier to see. Putting food on a plate. This plate, my mom bought me a set of 4 plates like this. They have a medium dark background, and they have all sorts of pretty leaves on the plate. We were at a thrift store together. This must have been about 15 years ago. And I said, "Oh, Mom, look at these pretty plates," because I just happen to really love leaves. And my mom said, "Oh." And by the time we left the store, she had surreptitiously bought the set for me. Well, I use them for special occasions, but I have found that these completely camouflage my food. I by the time I'm finished eating, I can't see if there's still food on my plate. I think I'm finished. And then anyway, these aren't the most practical for me. I have a younger sister who insists that dark colored plates are the way to go for her. She also has low vision, which is a little different than mine. And so one time after I was visiting her, and she said, "Sandy, you should really try using dark plates at home." I came home and I'm using dark plates. I'm like, I think I can see my food more easily on a white plate. Granted, the rice and the mashed potatoes disappear a little bit, but each to his own. I know that the Ashby Ponds retirement community has talked their management into offering residents either white or blue plates in the dining room. Might try it yourself. And if you're not sure, maybe buy some paper plates that are one color or another and try it out before you go investing in expensive china. Let me see if I have any other. I think I've hit the high points. Okay. So go ahead.
Yeah. I have burnt my fingers a few times while pouring boiled water into a clear mug. In our culture, we drink tea a lot, and we don't like to drink it if it's not a clear mug. So that's why, and okay. I never learn. So I always do it. I know there is the device that makes a noise and tells you, but I have it and I never use it. So again, it's a lesson to do that.
Right. And I burned my hand once too often, and it wasn't even by pouring hot liquid on my hand. It splashed onto my fingers. So about 3 years ago, I told myself, never, ever, ever hold the cup while I'm pouring stuff into it. And another trick, like Tara said, that liquid level measure that does beep, they aren't very expensive, and it sort of hangs on the edge of the cup, and 2 little prongs. When the liquid reaches those little prongs, it closes an electric circuit, and it just makes a little beep. I don't use them, but an occupational therapist said one time at a meeting I was at, "Have you ever listened while you pour liquid into a cup or a glass?" And amazingly, the sound changes as the level comes up, and you can practice with that. Another trick to be sure you don't burn yourself, or if you overflow, you don't make a mess on the counter. Practice filling your mug or glass in a kitchen sink, because then the liquid just, doesn't make a mess. It's contained. But you'll be surprised how you can learn the sense of it, and you can hear that it's filled up. Another thing on the burning your fingers in the oven, if you're, I admit I haven't used this, but my brother-in-law does swear by, these are called, I don't know, oven pole, I think is the word. It's wooden. It has a notch in it, so that you can reach in, grab the oven rack and pull it towards you. It also has a notch on the end so you can push the rack back in. Now, if you have good gloves, the of glove, you wouldn't need this. But just other ideas.
Okay, any other thoughts? Anyone would like to share what they do? Bridget?
Tara, it's Bridget.
Hi, Bridget.
And hi, Sandy.
Bridget.
I just thought I'd mention when Sandy, you started talking about cooking. I sometimes cook in a real hurry. And I am in a small condo that I love my space, but it's a very small, limited counter space. So what I have learned to do is, like you, I am legally blind, have been for years, but for me, I have this tunnel that's very useful and in focus. But if I am not focused on whatever object it is I'm looking for, it's not there. I've learned to, when I'm using the glass containers of any kind, and I like glass. Glass to me is just, I don't know, I like it. I use other materials as well. But if I'm using something that is glass, I clear my counters before I start cooking, my little tiny counter. And it's basically the size of from the stove top, covers the dishwasher and goes to the sink. That's how small it is, the width of the dishwasher. So I push whatever I'm preparing to the back of that counter until I need it. So if I have a glass bowls with different ingredients that I've pre-measured, or even if it's my glass of water, I push it to the back. And then when I'm going to look for it, I know it's going to be against the back, like near the backsplash area. And it seems so silly to go into detail like this, but for me, it has saved me toppling things off the counter, which is what I did way back when in the beginning. And it's nice not to have to clean up broken glass.
Absolutely. Thank you, Bridget. Sandy, can you tell us how you can find something if it falls on the floor and you can't see it?
Right. So I'm going to follow up with one more thing about Bridget's broken glass. My husband says, and he's called to the rescue, lucky me. Most of the time he's around and can clean up the glass. But, sometimes I've had to do it myself. Just sweeping, making sure that you're not getting your hands down there. But the very last little tiny shards, a wet paper towel, maybe a couple layers thick so that you don't poke yourself with the glass. A wet paper towel, damp paper towel is really good for getting up those last needly shards of glass. That is one of the worst things for us people who can't see them. But as Tara said, how do you see things that fall on the floor, like little broken shards of glass, or your earring, or your pill, or the button that popped off your shirt and you think you got to go sew it on again? Oh, darn it. So I usually get down on my hands and knees and I'll pat around with my hands to start with if it's not little shards of glass, if it's something that won't cut me. And it's amazing, I listen as it rolls away, bounces on the floor and rolls away. And I think I know what directions it's gone, but clearly my hearing is not as good as it used to be because sometimes it's 180 degrees out from where I thought it went. But a flashlight sort of held parallel to the floor, like right on the floor. A flashlight with a good beam, and then I scan back and forth, and I look, and eventually, if I'm lucky, I'll see a little shadow from that object. I may see the object itself, but I may see the shadow because the shadow is going to be long and stretched out along the floor behind the object. That's my usual way for finding things that I drop on the floor. And I can't tell you how often I'm amazed at where it actually rolled to and where I thought it went. Not the same at all.
It's always light. That's our main problem.
The light with the shadow, that contrast, the light and the dark is what helps me find it.
May I tack one thing on to that, Sandy?
Sure.
I think you're right. The only thing I do differently from what you described is the pat, pat, pat. I was taught when I went through my blind skills training to use a circular motion, making it larger as I went out from my body. And let me tell you what, whether it's a piece of clothing that I pulled out of the closet and threw on the bed and now it's blended into the blue blanket that, or whether it's something on the floor. So in my family, after they can't find something, they say, go, they call me the blind one sometimes. They say, go get the blind one because I will find it. And I won't find it visually. I'll find it by doing these rhythmic, moving outward larger circles. And if it's not in that row, then I scooch out another, foot and a half and start my little circular motion again. And usually what I'm finding for them are puzzle pieces. And they're all fully sighted people. But if the piece blends into the carpet or the flooring, it's hard for anyone to see.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I say pat, 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 I do work out from where I thought it was or where I thought it, I do try to
Gotcha.
use logic, but at some point I get frustrated because I haven't found it yet. And then I'll take the time and make the effort to go find a flashlight.
Absolutely.
So my husband and I have this joke about things hiding in plain sight. Like you said, if it's similar color to what's behind it. And it might be something as big as my phone. Or for my husband lately, it's been his glasses case. I cannot tell you how often he's gotten his, upstairs, downstairs exercise looking for his glasses case. He's starting to mimic me, hiding in plain sight. I've put something down, and when I put it down, I tell myself, that was a different place than you usually put it. Don't forget. And then I promptly forget where I put it. But anyway, I got a lot of exercise up and downstairs, which is a good thing, looking for it. But I do try to remember for things that that I need to find, like my phone, or I used to label every pen that I own. Hang on, I'm getting another demonstration thing. So my favorite color is yellow because it's lighter than dark things and brighter than white things. And I can see this on almost every background. So this is
Sandy, can you tell people what it is?
It's 3M tape. So Scotch 3M tape. I get this at Home Depot. It's usually over by the lamps and electrical stuff because a lot of people use it for electrical tape. It's about a little more than a half an inch wide, maybe 3/4 of an inch wide. And I probably go through a roll of this every 2 years. And it's just like, I don't know, a couple of dollars, maybe it might be up to $3 now. Certainly no more than $5, but it's worth it to me. I have this on the back of my phone. The trouble is I often put my phone down right side up and then I can't see it. But I label, gosh, all sorts of things with this yellow tape. They have it white tape, yellow tape, blue tape. I write on this with a Sharpie. The Sharpie will stick on this tape, won't wipe off. So if I need to write what it is, so the ends of all my little electrical cords, like this is my phone cord by my desk, I put a piece of yellow tape that says phone on it to keep, because all of our cords have different ends. Thank goodness most of them are going to USB-C, but my phone has one cord. My the lamps that I'm charging have another cord. My shocks, hearing things have another cord. So I label my cords with yellow tape and then what it is. Phone. This is my phone charger. So the yellow tape, it could be, like I said, it could be white tape, red tape, blue tape. It's helped me enormously and it's very inexpensive.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
good.
Is that Jay Holman?
Yes.
Oh, okay. You have a
It's
question?
it's Judy.
Hi, Judy. Sorry.
Well, I don't know how, I got something from Amazon. Should I talk? Can I
Yes,
talk?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
please.
I got something from Amazon last week that I'm excited about. It's a magnifier
Mhm.
that has 3 light sources on it. And it's a little bit heavy to put in your purse and carry around. But you know, when I got my bills, I can click the light. And so I can see it much easier than getting out my iPad or am I not doing something right?
I don't know, can we see Judy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
And your description is very good, Judy. And
Yeah.
over and over again, when you're magnifying stuff, more light is often important to help see that. And B, if it works for you, go for it. You know, the simpler, the better. You just said, you know, sometimes it's the easiest thing for you to pick up. Unfortunately, it's a little heavy to take everywhere in your purse, but you know, we all make compromises. I laugh about, I used to have probably inexpensive magnifying lenses at 5 places in my home and my office, just so that I could find one. And oh, those are something, they were black. And I always had a piece of yellow tape on them to help me find them.
Right.
I think those might have been the first things I started labeling with yellow tape 25 years ago.
Mhm. Yeah.
This magnifier, it says it's 30 times.
Mhm.
The
30.
30X, yes. And it's called 18 lead magnifier. I don't know. It needs batteries, 3 AA batteries that don't come with it. But anyway, if I want to know what the temperature is in my room, it's easy to get up and go to my thermostat and see it with this.
Okay, thank you. Effie? Effie, you are muted. We cannot hear you. Effie, you're still muted. I cannot unmute you. You need to unmute yourself.
Tara,
Yes.
hi, I have a question. What do people use for LED lights? Like on the scale, like on the thermostat, like on the microwave? I have, flashlights, and that doesn't really help.
I think Sandy has a couple of task lights. Sandy, you bought one the other day.
Yes. So, you know, having enough light in the room is important. I bought a pole light that has different colors of light, sort of yellow, more yellow, like an incandescent light. That's a lower Kelvin number. That would be more like, you know, 2,500 to 3,000 kelvins is the more yellow color. And then LED lights, when you get up 3,000 to 3,500, it's supposed to be more like sunshine, white, all of the colors in the white spectrum. And then more than 3,500 gets to be kind of harsh, a very bright white with a lot of blue in it that can sometimes make it difficult to see. So the same thing applies to task lights, smaller lights, like I was showing you, that one around my neck that has the different colors, the yellowish, the white, and then the harsher blue, white, bright light. And I can use that to look at like you said, a thermostat or the panel on your dishwasher or the panel on your stove. Those panels that are sort of a gray background with black letters are very difficult to see, invented by people who obviously had better eyesight than the rest of us do. But so that brings up another thing. What I do on my dishwasher, rather than trying to read my dishwasher, I have a bump dot above the place I'm supposed to press for rinse and hold, which I do use. My children tease me. why do people who are grandparents use rinse and hold so much? And I'm like, well, there's only 2 of us in the house and it takes a while to fill the dishwasher. And then I have a bump dot above normal cycle because I figure most of what I'm washing, it's normal. And then I have a bump dot below the start button. Though, because those are the only buttons I use. Well, my kids were visiting over Christmas and giving me, in a loving way, giving me a hard time about my habits and what I do and what I don't do and what I know and don't know. And my daughter's trying, after they told me 3 times to go sit in the living room and have a glass of wine, they do the dishes. I get this, how do you start the dishwasher? And I'm thinking, well, the buttons are right there. But they took the time to then read other options on my dishwasher. And they said, well, don't you use the heat dry button? And I said, I didn't even know there was such a thing. So maybe I need to add another bump dot.
Sorry, Sandy.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Effie, can you try unmuting again? You're still muted. So sorry, we cannot hear you. Okay, I think we have Frank.
Yes, I had a question.
Sure.
Actually, a couple of comments. One is I have a bread machine that I can no longer see what the label shows. And for that, the only thing I found that worked was a light, a magnifier with a half dozen lights around it. And so with rechargeable batteries. So that worked. Yeah. The other thing is I have a pair of the Meta smart glasses, and those don't magnify anything, but you can say, hey, Meta, what's in front of me? And then it will tell you, and it can read things like the return address on my mail and prices and labels at the grocery store. So it's not perfect, but they're really quite economical compared to the other glasses on the market that read to you.
Okay, I'm unmuted now, finally. All my buttons were frozen for some reason and I couldn't do anything. So finally I got a message, and I wanted to say that the yellow tape is a godsend. I use one too. In fact, when I travel, I take it with me. If I stay at a relative with relatives or friends for a long time and they have staircases, I get permission to tape their staircases, not the entire edge of the stair. I don't need it, just enough at a corner. I don't want to destroy their woodwork or something like that. So then when I leave, I make sure to remove it, and so that makes me happy. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Effie. I know we have other questions, but I'd like to continue, and we can continue with the questions later. It's just for the sake of time. Sandy, what about writing? You always get pens, you get nice, colorful things. If you could share with us, that would be great. And
Okay.
I will get back to the other questions after Sandy finishes with her writing resources.
Okay, so pens are a big bugaboo for me. And I've tried a lot of pens, like Tara says. So there's Papermate makes a felt tip flare pen, which sort of has a medium point, and it has a comfortable grip. You know, it's not like a ballpoint pen. You do have to pull it out of the cap, and then you have to remember to find the cap. These are the first pens I used to label with the yellow tape all the time because they're black, they disappear. My current most favorite pen, which is a little bit wider point, but has a nice dark black look to it. These are a little bit harder to find in stores, but they are, you know, they're pretty available. I actually buy both of these online by the dozen or 3 dozen at a time. So my current favorite pen, also you have to pull it out of the cap and it will dry out over time if you forget to put the cap back on, but it's called a Pilot, P-I-L-O-T, Those are the guys who make it. And the name of it is Bravo, Bravo. And there's an exclamation point at the end of the name on this. And I'm like, yes, Bravo, Pilot Bravo. Those are my current favorite pen. Pilot Bravo does not bleed through the paper. That's a good thing. But another pen that is really good, and it's a little bit fatter to hold. It's a little bit shorter, but you know, it can be very comfortable in your hand. It's got a white part that you hold on to and a black cap. And again, it will dry out if you don't remember, put the cap back on. This is made by the company EZ2C. So it's the capital letter E for egg, the capital letter Z for zebra, the number 2, then the word C, S-E-E. So the EZ2C no bleed pen. And again, it's a felt tip pen. The good thing about this one is it also does not bleed through the paper. And if you get it on your fingers, which I get pen marks on my fingers all the time, especially when I'm closing the pen, this will wash off of your hands. Sharpies, which is the first thing that a lot of people go to when they're trying to figure out how can I get bigger, bolder writing. Sharpies tend to bleed through paper, and they tend to be very permanent on your fingers. So it might be 3 days and 2 showers before all of the ink comes off of your fingers. When I used to volunteer for Dr. Alibi, he was always asking me, Sandy, what's all over your hands? And I'm like, well, it was the pen I was writing with. So that's why it's important to me to find a pen that does wash off. But if I'm writing a label, Sharpie is the way to go because I want it to stay labeled. Now, I tend to use blank paper without lines. You know, maybe if I used paper with lines, I would write more evenly. But I tend to use paper in different colors. You know, life is short. Why not have a little fun? But people say, why do you use yellow and green and blue and pink? And it's partly to draw attention to the paper, so I don't get it mixed up, hide in plain sight with my mail, which is all on white paper and most of it's junk mail. And it's partly because the color has a little bit less glare than the white paper. And my eyes are really sensitive to glare. If I'm trying to read dark writing on a light background, it's hard for me to do. I'm always putting my phone and my computer dark background with light letters because of the glare issues that I have. So I buy this, you can get this online from Amazon or Office Depot, Astro Bright, ASTROBRIGHT. You can get whatever color you want, or you can get a package with a mix of colors. But if you like, if you're neater than I am and you want to write in neat lines, there's a lot of paper out there that's got bold lines. So this is about the size of an index card. You could write short notes on it. This is like a grocery list size, you know, long, skinny. I can't see, do I have it? Yeah. So it's about 4 inches wide and 11 inches tall. This is a pad that's like a steno pad size, or you can get, you know, full 8.5 by 11. And if you're like me and you don't like the white, you can get it with in yellow paper with black lines. But another thing, like I said, hiding in plain sight. Yes, I use color paper. Oh, I've lost it. It's hiding in plain sight somewhere. Plain paper, you know, sticky notes. You know, we like sticky notes to remind ourselves about things. Am I in the screen here?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so this is also made by that company EZ2C, sticky notes. They're about 3.5, maybe they're 3 inches square. It's yellow with a black border. So when you take this off, if you peel one of these off after you've written your note and you stick it onto something, even if it's yellow, that the square edge to it will help you find it again. So that can be a helpful trick. And my life has gotten more and more complicated with my various volunteer jobs and work. So I, about 5 years ago, started buying the Easy to See calendar, which I swear by. Now, it may not work for everybody, but this calendar, 1 year at a time, goes week by week. So there's a double page. Each page is 8.5 by 11. And there's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday down one side, and then Thursday, Friday on the other side with Saturday and Sunday at the bottom. My Saturday and Sunday should be bigger than this, but that's the best I can do. So that product has been very helpful to me, easy to see. Some company makes a checks and deposits register with bigger, bolder lines. Am I in the
Yes.
screen?
Yes.
Okay, but I quibble. I think we all need to come up with a better check register, because by the time they put all the information in here, there's not, the spacing isn't right to me. I think I need to reinvent one of these and make my millions on a better check register. But then maybe nobody uses check registers anymore. So I don't know, maybe I'm just old fashioned. So, and then of course, and everybody will tell you there's writing guides, which are stuck in between things. So a writing guide to fill out the information for a check, and a writing guide to sign your name. I confess I have never used one. And I actually heard an OT instructor say, you really probably don't need a writing guide to sign your name. If somebody gets your pen at the right place to start, your muscle memory is so good for the way you've signed your name hundreds of times in your life, you can still sign your name. Well, my name's getting a little sloppier, but you know, it's true that there is muscle memory in a signature.
Okay.
So.
Sandy, I hate to cut you off, but we have a few questions.
Okay, go.
Melissa and Patrick, if you can unmute yourself.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, I have two things. I would just like to point out that the Blind Kitchen's website, Deborah has provided some description of why these things are useful and how they can make cooking a little easier. So I found those really helpful when I was shopping. It was a learning experience there. But what I wanted to share about was a label maker. They've upgraded since those little dial things that we had when we were kids. You can get a Bluetooth enabled label maker now and choose the color and width of the tape that you want to print to, and use an app on your smartphone to zoom in on the label, even creating it with a dark border around the edge of the label. You can print whatever you want. So for example, we use it to print labels when we come home with fresh produce, like when did that come in the house, so that we could see it and know, hey, that's got to go. When we use it to print, you can automatically print today's date. You don't have to type that in every time, but you can choose the fonts, choose the size of the tape, and make those labels hopefully large enough and in color combinations that work for you. And that's been super helpful for us.
So who makes that product?
Brother makes them. They're called P-Touch label makers, and you can get them in different sizes and then order custom tapes, and the tapes are really easy to just drop right in, and you use your smartphone to create your custom labels. So for example, we have a custom label for chicken soup. So every time we make chicken soup, I can print, 10 labels for the cups of chicken soup that I've just made. So, but I can automatically print the label and the date, and I don't have to change it every time. I can just reuse my saved labels. It's super helpful.
Great, thank you. Gloria? Gloria, you're unmuted. I don't know if you have any question or comment. Maybe not. I have L. Lynn? Um,
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. My husband is going to talk instead of me. Can hear well.
About earphones.
Okay.
Earphones?
Where can I get those earphones?
Which one? The one Sandy's using?
The ones just go over your head.
Sandy, what do you have? Which brand is it? Mine, yeah.
Yeah, the ones I'm wearing are made by a company called Logitech, Logitech. And I bought them a couple years ago, so I don't know exactly, but they have to plug in to my computer it's a hard wire. It's not a Bluetooth.
See, I cannot see well and I cannot hear well. So, and I would like to find out where you get those lights that goes around your neck.
Oh, the one I have, or the one Sandy?
Lights.
The one she has or the one the other woman has?
Tara or Sandy, which one of us?
The lights is like a necklace. It looks like a necklace, but it's lights.
I think it's Sandy.
I don't have that kind. The one I have.
The one you show us some of the, no.
I'm trying to find the brand on this one. Tara, do you know the?
It looks like a necklace.
Yeah, it looks like a necklace. You're right.
Oh, these are the lights.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, these
task
are the
light.
task light, yeah.
Okay, it's a flashlight, and the name on this one is GLOCent. So it's GLOCent, like CUSENT.
You get it from Amazon?
Yes, we got it from there.
And I think these were less than $20.
I just really appreciate so much your unselfishness to share with us all your little knowledge or big knowledge with us. Thank
My
you
pleasure.
so much to everybody.
Okay. David, you're unmuted. I don't know if you have a question or unmuted by mistake. Okay, no. Anybody else has a question?
Yeah, this is Joe Noel.
Hello, Joe.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Sandy was talking about the check register a little while ago. I have some checks from Capital One Bank that are about 4 times the size of normal checks, about twice as wide and twice as high. And they're very helpful. You can fill them out very easily.
And all banks I think my bank has stopped giving me checks for free, but you should be able to get your bank to give you large print checks, and you can also ask for large print your monthly statement. It may take them a while to get it to you. It took about 3 months from the time I asked till the time they started showing up that way, but it's not huge. Large print, but it's definitely bigger than the standard. So,
Elaine?
Hi, it's Sheila, Elaine's
Hi,
sister.
Sheila.
Hi, I wanted to show you something that somebody got me to help me use my computer, because it was a laptop that had an extra segment, hooked to it, but it was hard to see. And it was a device it's called Large Print Computer Keyboard. Can you see this? Can you see it?
Hold it up over your right shoulder.
Right shoulder.
Left shoulder, sorry.
Middle shoulder.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's really helpful. And it's portable, and you can, if you want to make something bigger, you can see it. It's very inexpensive. This was under $18 Amazon. And the beauty of it is that it is both large as well as contrast, the bright yellow. They must have heard from you, Sandy, that yellow was the way to go with the black letters. I am not visually impaired, and I can tell you that typing on a laptop that has little gray letters or numbers on a pale beige-ish key, and it's terrible. And this this gives you a really good fighting chance to see what you're typing. Yeah.
Great.
Inexpensive
Yeah.
and worthwhile.
Okay. Okay. We have one last question or comment from Tony. You're unmuted, Tony.
Two comments, actually. For
Okay.
finding things on the kitchen floor, which are usually bits of food that got away when I was chopping or when I got my hand caught in the monkey trap full of cashews. I have a small broom, originally a fireplace broom, and a dustpan. And I'm not going to eat the food off the floor anyway, so I just sweep around till I hear something go into the dustpan. Usually I find a lot more than I knew was down there.
Okay. What's
My
the
wife
second?
tried to make me a signature guide. She gets upset when I sign outside the lines. But I think she's gotten used to the idea that nobody's going to look at that signature again anyway. And if I sign over the line, if people don't know what their form said, then they can print a new form and see what it said. If I signed over what they said.
That's true.
So I admire you for getting down and using the dustpan and broom, which is the logical thing to use. In my house, I don't have to. I have a cat that eats anything that falls on the floor. I never knew a cat could be so voracious.
Well, Sandy and everyone, thank you very much for joining us today. One last point, Frank, our next Tech Talk in February will be about smart glasses. And of course, the Meta glasses will be one of them. And the email went out at 1 o'clock about our glaucoma session this Friday. So if anybody
No,
wants,
Saturday.
Saturday, sorry. If anybody wants to register, there's a phone number to call. Thank you, everyone, again, and hope to see you soon at our next Tech Talk.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Tara.
you.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank
you,
you.
everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Very
Thanks.
well done. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
That
you.
was great.
Thank you, everybody,
Thanks.
for sharing.
Sure. Bye-bye.